Have you ever stopped to think, who am I when no one's watching? I mean, really thought about it. Like, who are you behind closed doors, away from the spotlight, or when nobody is around to give you credit? Today, Lisa Limtiaco is diving into one of the most fascinating virtues out there, integrity. It's that inner compass guiding you to do the right thing, even when it's tough or unrecognized. Lisa's going to unpack what it truly means to live an undivided life, why it matters so much in our relationships, careers, and personal journeys, and how embracing integrity brings us closer to God and the best version of ourselves. If this resonates with you, and I have a feeling it does, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on these inspiring conversations. And hey, why not join us live next time? We host amazing talks, uplifting recollections, and offer you the chance to connect with an incredible community of young professional women, all striving to grow in virtue and faith together. Want even more? Check out our website and hop onto our email list through the link below. Trust me, your inbox will thank you. Get ready to dig deeper into who you really are at your core. Let's jump in.
So this is going to be on integrity. I love this virtue because it actually involves a lot of other virtues with it. And if you go looking at definitions for integrity, it always has this aspect of when no one is watching. So President Abraham Lincoln also said a person's character is what they do when no one's watching. C.S. Lewis said integrity is doing the right thing even though no one is watching. And so the question here is, who are you when no one is watching? So we're going to get into that a little bit, but I just want to give a little preview that what that means is it gets to the heart of what motivates us to always be aligned with what we value. With the case of integrity, a lot of times it means doing the right thing, even when the consequences are hard, or we choose that over what's easier, or we do the right thing even though it's not acknowledged, or we don't get credit for it. So this aspect of when no one is watching is, do we always have an upright intention, with everything that we do? So we're going to do this from a Christian anthropology perspective. And anthropology also is not understood in the same way across the board, but essentially it's the study of man. And we put Christian anthropology on there to make sure that people know that when we talk about the study of man, it's man's last end and man's worldview, that it's man, the world, and God, right? So God plays a key role in this whole thing. So let's look at the root of the word. What is integrity? It comes from the Latin root integritas, meaning wholeness, completeness, and being undivided. It's like united. So it's not like we're a different person when we're with our friends versus when we're at work, or we're a different person when we're in church versus when we're with our family or when we're by ourselves. So it's always acting with the same Christian principles wherever we are. Second is always acting with honesty, ethics, strong moral principles. We'll get into that. It builds trust, credibility. So if people know you're a person of your word and that you follow through with the things you say you're going to do, it leads to long-term success in work and also relationships. And lastly, it's doing the right thing in all circumstances. So this is what integrity means. It's like, I am the same person no matter what circumstances I'm in. Let's talk about the right thing, because that actually does not have the same meaning for everybody, right? So what is the right thing? First of all, when we say there is a right thing to do in all circumstances, the foundation is that there is an objective truth, that there is a right and a wrong in some circumstances, especially moral circumstances, that there is an objective right and wrong. We live in a relativistic culture, meaning relativism, it's when people have different truths, like they act according to their truth, this truth, like they dictate what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing. But in many circumstances, especially moral circumstances, there is a right and there is a wrong. And then the good is anything that leads us to our ultimate end, which is God. What are the Christian principles? First of all, there's human virtues, and then that leads us to the theological virtues. Okay, so this is pretty much how we plan a lot of the things that we do. Right now, this whole series is on human virtues. So we've had gratitude, now we have integrity, we've had fortitude, temperance. So all those things, there's loyalty, industriousness, being hardworking. So all those things that are good habits, so it's these repetitive acts. It's this kind of stable way of working and living our life that is the foundation for the theological virtues of faith, hope, and love, which are infused, meaning they're gifts of the Holy Spirit, but they can only be infused if the foundation is there. So this is where our effort comes in, is to live these human virtues and to know what they are and to know how we benefit from it. Like, it is worth the effort. There's that example that if you want to play an instrument, or you want to be, a piano virtuoso, or you want to win a marathon like Christina over here. So that comes with effort, right? So it's that day to day, that builds on what you've been doing before. So this is what leads us to our ultimate goal, is to grow the theological virtues of faith, hope, and love. So what does it mean to be a complete person? When we talk about integrity, we're talking about unity, so a unified whole and a complete person. So this concept of unity of life means I act in the same way and with the same principles in every situation I find myself in. Again, whether it's work or family or, with friends. So this is where the Christian anthropology aspect comes in, that we have 3 faculties that we don't think about in the moment, but it's good to tease out these aspects of how we act, so that when we strive to improve, we know which area to work on and how they interact. And I think it's a real helpful exercise to go through. And integrity is having a harmony with all those 3. And the first is the mind. The first is the intellect. So the intellect sees the good, the will. So that comes from, good formation of our conscience. It comes from knowing the right thing, kind of working with other people's experience. And the will chooses the good and actually executes it, right? It does the good. And then the heart, so the emotions come in, and they're all, again, it's not like a separate, it kind of all works together, but our emotions get behind that decision. You can say, in a sense, it embraces the good. So the integrity is a harmony between all 3. I'm going to give you an example. This is a workplace example about where integrity comes in. And then at the end, we can talk about some of your own examples or some questions because we're all called to live integrity in many different ways. So I'm an optometrist. I was working in a private practice. And one day the insurance decided it was not going to reimburse us for anti-reflective coatings. I think 2 of you have glasses here. I'm sure you have anti-glare coatings on those lenses. There are some anti-reflective coatings that are very poor quality, and there's some that are very good quality. So if you have had your glasses for a year or longer and the coating has not scratched off, it's a good quality coating. So the insurance was only reimbursing us for the poor quality coating. We would have had to absorb the cost if we wanted to give patients a better quality coating. So we were trying to make this decision, like, we'll just give all the patients the poor quality coating. So that was not a good thing. So we said, okay, the best thing is you always give patients the best quality, right? They deserve the best, and we are going to have to absorb that cost. And we still made money. It wasn't as much, but so we said, and then we're going to explain that. So we saw that the good was to give patients the best that you have to offer. The will was, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to have to figure out how we're going to absorb that cost. But, and then the heart, the emotions, we said, if we just talk it up and just say, this is what we're giving you, you're getting the best quality. They're going to buy multiple pairs of glasses. They're going to send all their friends in. And after about we took a short-term hit, But after about 2 or 3 years, you definitely started seeing that, right? So they saw that their glasses would last a longer time. They were happy with the quality, and then that just kind of goes out, right? And people will spread the word. So it's not always the easiest thing, right? So when you make these decisions, what is good is not always the easiest thing, and in some cases, it can actually cost people their jobs. Sometimes this does happen. Okay, so that's what we mean by unity of life. It's like, what is going to be the best thing for all people involved? Why does it matter? Why do we want to be a person of integrity? That we're a person of our word, that we're trustworthy, that we live an upright life, that we strive to be better. That matters in our relationships. Humility, as well. So relationships, if people know that they can confide in you and you're not going to spread it around, that you will keep things in confidence. If you are always going to be there for that person, if you're trustworthy, if you're punctual, if you're reliable, that builds relationships. If you've ever had someone at work or a friend who was not reliable or who didn't show up on time, or they would say they were coming and then they didn't, this type of a relationship, that doesn't make for a good, healthy relationship. Also, decisions that we make at work affect other people. It can affect the good of the company. It can affect loyalty. And if you take really good care of employees and the people around you, that actually builds a company, right? That actually builds good relationships at work, and people want to give their best. The company Zappos, I don't know if you ever read that book by Tony Hsieh about the start of Zappos. He almost went bankrupt, right? So this happens with a lot of companies, but he always took good care of his employees. So he would give them the best, but they could see how he was struggling, and the whole success of the company depended on them getting this one last ditch loan. So they did. And then he said, listen, I can't pay you for a certain period of time, but if we can kind of meet these goals, I promise we'll make this, all of you will benefit from it. So he had a building, and so he gave them all a place to stay. So they kind of worked their best. I mean, they believed in him, because he took care of them and he was a man of his word. And sure enough, the company is now $1 billion company. And it's because those people at the beginning really believed in him, because he always stood by his word. So anyway, so those are just some workplace examples. How do we fortify integrity? So we'll kind of end with this. So fortifying integrity is to live presence of God in your work. When we talk about having a foundation of strong moral principles, a strong sense of Christian anthropology and who we are, that we are children of God, and that we are called to transmit those values, wherever we are by our example. And when we live our life like this, it really does have an impact in all the people that we work with and all the people that we encounter, whether it's at work or in social life or in our friendships, in our families. So to have presence of God in work means we strive to live human virtues. We strive to be that example and that witness of God in work, that charity, and, the theological virtues start to come out, faith, hope, and love. When they see we're a strong people of faith, that is something that's attractive. Practice of virtues, everything that we've been talking about there. So the more we live virtue, the easier it becomes. It's not always easy, but it does become a habit. And then lastly, we need to continue developing intellectually, spiritually, culturally, and always with the spirit of service. So intellectually means, just reading good books, getting to know our faith better, working with a spiritual director or with a good mentor. So what good books can I read out there that can help me grow intellectually and to understand myself as a person? Spiritually, someone to help us live a good plan of life, with just kind of norms of piety, living our faith well. Culturally, like appreciating what culture has to offer and knowing what's out there, knowing what's happening in our society and in our city, knowing the challenges, but also knowing the benefits. What are the good things that are coming out? And then always with this desire to serve, the spirit of service, always wanting to do things for other people. Okay, so I'm going to end with this quote of St. Josemarie Scrivá, and he writes, "The fruit of our prayer today should be the conviction that our journey on earth at all times and whatever the circumstances is for God. It is something marvelous which has been entrusted to us to administer with a sense of responsibility." So that sense of responsibility is also very integrated in integrity, because we feel a responsibility not only to be that good witness wherever we are and to always act, whether we're alone or whether it's acknowledged or whether it's hard, like this responsibility to be a strong witness of our faith, knowing that our ultimate end is to always do the good in this way, right? So to always be reaching for that.